Well, welcome into episode 35 of the Ryan Ripken Show. Am I doing that right? I might be. Well, hey, thank you guys for joining us on this Monday. I see BJ, you're enjoying it from the tundra up in Vermont, and wherever the rest of you all are tuning in from, welcome. As always, we actually got a fuller house. Not everyone's in house. Zach's joining me.
I was
over
going to
in
say,
the
I'm
corner.
the only one not on camera right now or not on screen. I was looking and I was like, what's going on here?
All right, do you feel better now?
Yeah, I mean, you're not on screen, so.
All right, so
It's a lot better looking panel right now.
Zach's there, and you're wondering, Rocco's not here. He's right on the screen, though. You can see him. Rocco, how are we doing?
Ryan Spirit, boys.
Rocco.
Glad to be back. Thanks. I really didn't appreciate all that slander on the last show. Figured I had to come back on Thursday and kind of do it my due justice. And, you know, I can't be talked about like that, especially from Zach, who dresses like Dwight Schrute on this show.
Let's settle
I'm
down.
convinced he lives in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm always putting in that work, Rocco. Maybe. Yeah.
Well, hey guys, it's not always about you. We still have Brad here, by the way, who's been a staple from the beginning. Brad, how are we doing?
Doing good, man. Feeling good, and I just can't wait to dive into this show. There is so much shit to talk about. Orioles related, football related. We got the Ravens that are back after a bye week. It feels like it's been forever. So I'm just pumped to get started.
Yeah, way too long. So you kind of alluded to it. So as always, we're going to go through our spicy topics for those that are new to the program. If you've joined us on this program before on this show, thank you. Thank you for coming back. If you're new to the show, if you don't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, that'd be appreciative. We're happy you're here. We're going to go through some spicy topics like we always do. Then we're going to take a tour around Maryland, courtesy of Adams Jeep. We're going to talk about what's going around with some of the other teams. And then, yes, we are going to dive in to those Baltimore Orioles and the Ravens and the Rams upcoming. And then we'll get our game picks around the NFL, and then we're going to get on out of here. But let's just start with the first thing. Spicy topic number one. Guys, how do we want to start this? I guess there's some rumors circulating around Twitter or X or whatever the kids are calling it these days, Zach.
Would it be considered a rumor at this point? I feel like it's being reported, you know.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a rumor. So the Orioles, I guess, supposedly are in talks with David. How do you say his last name? What's the correct?
Rubenstein.
Yeah. David Rubenstein to potentially purchase the Orioles. Anyone? Viola.
I mean, just feel like the dramatic pause was warranted.
Yeah, no, I would just.
Yeah, it almost seemed very fitting right there.
Natural.
Yeah, you know, honestly, you know, it makes you think, what do you think? I know a lot of people have a lot of feelings. You would have felt like that was the hot news on the Twitterverse today, especially in the Baltimore community.
Oh, Twitter was going bananas.
It was a parade. People were parading like we won the World Series. It was crazy. I will say I haven't seen, especially in the offseason, like Orioles Twitter obviously has been like up and down, like active wise. Like today, everyone was back. Like it was one of those days where everyone was online partying as soon as this news dropped.
Yeah, but you know, here's the thing is everyone's partying and nothing's happened, by the way. I'm not trying to be that guy for everyone that's excited. It's just nothing's transpired, only that there was a report that the Orioles could potentially be sold.
Let's go into it real quick.
Yeah.
As you're processing your thoughts, who David Rubenstein actually is. If you guys don't know who he is a co-founder of the Carlyle Group, one of the world's largest and most successful private equity firms, born in 1949. He's actually from the Baltimore area. There's also some rumors swirling around that like him and Monumental are working on some sort of, I guess, kicking the tires around the Nationals as well. So this isn't just about the Orioles and Rubenstein. I think this is him just trying to figure out, hey, which team am I going to go after? Maybe he gets his hands involved in both. But when I was doing some research on Rubenstein, I saw that perhaps Monumental was also, like I said, kicking the tires on the Nationals too. So kind of interesting. Guy's got a lot of money, and it's apparent. at least to me, when you start kind of putting some tea leaves together and thinking, okay, well, the Orioles haven't, or I should say the Angelos family hasn't officially agreed to a lease deal with the state. And so maybe there's a reason as to why. Could this be a reason? Now Bloomberg's releasing this report. Maybe that's why. And I guess we'll see, Ryan.
Yeah, I really think there are so many different layers that we could really try to peel back. What was it? I don't know why when I think about layers, I think about onions.
Yeah, like Shrek.
And
Shrek?
maybe it was Shrek, right?
Yeah, it was Shrek.
Yeah, exactly. You know, ogres have layers. Throw back to the
ogre,
childhood. Well, ogre or avatar, I'm either. I'm both to you. Yeah, so with the Orioles, people, understandably, there's been a lot of stress. I just want to say this regardless, and I think I want to just put this point home. This doesn't have to do with any type of ownership group, but I want people to understand the Orioles are going to be in Baltimore. I don't know how to say that any other way. I know people are worried about the lease. MLB will not let the Orioles leave Baltimore. The town, the team is beloved in Baltimore. You have one of the best stadiums in the entire Major League Baseball Association. Truly, and the team's very exciting. The team's not going to leave Baltimore.
No.
Okay.
Well, Manfred's been pretty vocal about not allowing that to happen anyway.
Yeah,
Mhm.
any sort of rumors that have come up, Manfred is very fast to be like, one, the owners have to vote, and we saw the A's were the first team to relocate in how long? It's like 30 years or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, no offense, the Coliseum and Camden Yards slightly different as far as how people would view the stadiums. Now, experience when the Oakland A's were rocking and it's the playoffs and it's bumping the music and it's like Grant Balfour's coming out of the pen and that place is going nuts.
Did
The
he throw the
atmosphere-
water bottle? Was he the guy who threw the water bottle? Am I thinking of the right person?
Potentially, I'm not exactly sure.
Well, look it
You
up.
think of a lot of things, but
I
while you
know.
look that up, just to drive home the point, yes, the Orioles are going to stay in Baltimore regardless of the situations that happen. Now, with Rubenstein specifically, it makes sense for a guy with two teams that there is going to be interest in because the Nationals are, and people aren't talking about it, but there's a similar conversation that needs to be had for Washington as far as ownership and where things are moving. So it makes sense to do their homework. Obviously, with Rubenstein, I would guess it would mean even more to have an opportunity to be a part of the Baltimore Orioles organization. Just that would be my guess with it. But nevertheless, it definitely sparked more heat in, I guess about to say November, it's December. But I just don't want people to get their hopes up. I'm not trying to be that guy, but there's so many more steps that need to happen before anything is to be progressed.
Yeah, I
Rip,
think they
I'm glad you brought that up because Bloomberg, this isn't the first time they put out an article about Rubenstein having interest in buying the Orioles or toying with the notion of buying the Nationals. Actually, August of 2022, it was billionaires Rubenstein and Ted Leonsis are eyeing MLB's Nationals and Orioles. So this isn't the first time this has been a topic of conversation. Until the wheels really start turning, until the Orioles are up for sale, I wouldn't get my hopes up. But I did see the buzz on social media today. It's funny, the fan base, they were definitely buzzing about it. But until, like I said, the wheels start turning, things start happening, then, it's not going to happen until it does, is basically what I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a reporter, maybe even in the article, it said something about like if everything were to progress at a good rate, it would be like they could get it done in the first half of the season. So it's not like this is going to be, oh, hey, we get this notification today, and then next Monday it's like, holy crap, the Orioles got sold. Like, even if it were to get to that point, this is months and months of drawn out process. I mean, we saw Dan Snyder selling the Commanders took forever. I mean, this is not something. Changing teams and franchises in professional sports is a lot of money on the line, so it takes a very long time for these things to get done.
And especially when you look at the complications where this isn't also the NFL in the sense of CBS, Fox, ESPN, they have the rights to the TV deals, right? And the owners are a part of it. There's also TV deals within the teams and the organizations. And there's just so much more tied in that I don't think people understand with that. And again, I just want to preface this. This is an exciting time for the Baltimore Orioles, taking out anything of the report today. The exciting part with the Baltimore Orioles is that they are in position for the first time truly to have a window that's not going to be a 5-year window. They're looking at a time where they're hopefully the next decade is going to be an exciting time here in Baltimore. And whatever happens, happens. But you're right, Zach. This is not something that you're going to wake up and go, what was that? What's the GIF out there? Like, honey, take a look. Like, what was the GIF of it? It's anytime it's like, hey, babe. Oh, yeah, it's like, babe, come. Babe, wake up. Babe, wake up. I butchered the hell out of that. It's not going to be a babe, wake up. This is happening moment. This is something that's going to progress over time. And Rocco, to your point, I'm glad you brought it up. This is not the first time that we are going to discuss this, but we have to discuss it.
Yeah.
Won't be the last time either. Will not be the last time either.
No.
Hell no.
And I think I'll do Rocco's job real quick as a reporter for him. Been seeing a lot of questions on Twitter about it, so I'll just get everyone the answer. Ryan, are you buying the Orioles?
Isn't that we all know why Rip is being hush hush?
Are you buying the Orioles?
What's with that? Not to put you on the spot, and I don't want you to have to go crazy, but like, why are people so crazy about the Ripken family buying the Orioles, or at least being partial owners of them?
I just want Ripken so I can get free hot dogs.
Okay. So out of all the things possible, you just want a free dog.
Have you seen the hot dog prices at the yard right now?
Dude, to be 23 years old again.
I'm just saying.
To be 23 years old again.
Like there's levels
in this economy. Hey, look, I laugh and I appreciate that people have a connection with the last name and the team, right? And I'm not going to be naive to say that my family hasn't had a connection with the team for a very long time. But Joe, when you have $2 billion, if you'd like to donate, you let me know. We'll start a page. That'd be great. I don't, to answer your question, Brad, I think it's just a lot of people, they look back at the nostalgia of what's happened. And I mean, apparently like it was a cool moment for 21-31. Don't remember it. I was there, but don't remember it. And for the Orioles, and it's another part of it, and it's not in a bad way, but so many fans have had to live in the past with the Orioles, and that's no knock to it. I mean, of course, that's, so many Orioles legends, but the Orioles, we talked about it, Brad, 40 years since the World Series, the Orioles have been to the playoffs 6 times, not to the World Series, just the playoffs 6 times. So I think that's where a lot of things weigh. And we'll see, hey, my family, we love Baltimore. We love the O's. We love the city, love the community.
You're all right.
What was that?
Yeah, you said you love the city. I said you're all right. You love us. We put up with you.
Hey, you know what, Ryan? You're a good kid.
We'll take that.
He's a good kid.
I am a good kid. You're damn right I am. But hey, we'll jump back into more Orioles talk here in just a minute, by the way. But while we're talking about baseball, a team that no one likes here in Baltimore, the New York Yankees specifically, they made a splash for an outfielder a couple days ago, Alex Verdugo. And everyone was thinking it'd be a different outfielder. And we were talking about it for a while. And I even said it on Twitter the last couple days. Soto is going to New York. Prepare yourselves. And what happened in the last 24 hours? Juan Soto is traded to the San Diego Padres, which, hey guys, that's a big, big move. And New York, whoever thought New York was just going to roll over and they were just going to fall out of relevancy, sorry to tell you guys, that's a load of shit. The Yankees are trying to be on the upswing, and they're ready to challenge the Baltimore Orioles in 2024.
Evil Empire's back.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say they were ever away, but to give people context, okay, last year for them, their disappointing season, and I think we talked about this, Rocco or Brad, correct me if I'm wrong here. The Yankees haven't had a losing season in what year? Brad, we talked about this. I don't know if we can pull that back up. It's been a really long time.
Not off the top of my head, but I think it was like the early 90s was the last time the Orioles had a losing season. Or not, the Yankees had a losing season. And to I understand I can appreciate what Zach's trying to say, but at the same time, the AL East was stacked with, and it always is, with just monster teams. And with Juan Soto being in the mix now, it's great and all. And I obviously the Yankees are going to be better for it. But I put a tweet out last night about how, at least right now, because I'm sure the Yankees aren't done making moves, but right now it's just going to be the Yankees are going to score a lot, and so is the other team, because the pitching still hasn't been addressed, and that really is the true problem with them, especially the starting pitching in particular. Not quite sure how the Yankees are going to be able to resolve that in one season. So, and again, I'm not saying that the Yankees aren't going to be contenders this coming year, because they very well could be, just because they're the Yankees and now they have Juan Soto. But like the pitching, in my opinion, is the real issue that needs to be addressed with that team moving forward.
Well, how about this? How about this comment? And Brian Cashman came out and said, we're not done yet.
Yeah.
And they want to make New York the mecca of baseball. And there's a certain international superstar that's still on the market here in Shohei Ohtani. And I'm not alluding that Shohei is going to end up going to the Yankees.
He said,
go ahead.
I was going to say, it's already gone on record. I believe that his agent said that he doesn't see himself playing for the Yankees or being with the Yankees. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I saw that Yamamoto is still on the table for the Yankees.
Yeah, that's who they want. That's their guy. So if they get Yamamoto, then we can talk. Then I'll be scared of the Yankees. But kind of what Brad said, you have now Judge and Soto.
Yeah.
The rest of that lineup still last year is the same, and they didn't do much. So it's hard for one guy, especially offensively, for me to say this changes everything. If they get Yamamoto, it's another big piece. I'll start being concerned. But yeah, I mean, it's the Yankees. They're going to win 88 to 90 games no matter what. Soto will hit 40 home runs with that short porch.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the confidence of the Yankees deteriorated in that lineup and the success when Judge got hurt during the season. Like it was, you could say, when did the drop off happen for the Yankees offensively? When Judge left the lineup. Now, DJ LeMahieu had a rough go for a season that, the years before, one of the more consistent hitters in the game. But I will say that Anthony Volpe is going to be a year older. We're talking about young guys having success. Adding Verdugo, I think, is underrated. I mean, the dude is a consistent, solid big league hitter. He hit 11 to 13 home runs the last 3 seasons, and now he's going to a very generous Yankee Stadium. I think this team's going to be resolved to they're going to have great resolve, and they're going to go out there and battle. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rock, we talked about this earlier. We love the Birds, but the rest of the AL East is not going to go away. And I mean, the Blue Jays have made it pretty clear that
they're not everyone.
They're gonna try to go and make a move, and especially if they don't land Ohtani, they're gonna keep pursuing, because they got to keep up with teams like New York and Baltimore.
Here's what I want to say to that, Rip. Didn't we kind of feel this way when Giancarlo Stanton went to the Yankees? Didn't people like create this whole buzz around that? Like, the Yankees are back. They're going to be back in the World Series. Like, this team's a powerhouse. The Yankees haven't been to a World Series, correct me if I'm wrong, since 2009. And that is correct. The last time they won it. It's been a long time. The Yankees don't terrify me right now like they may have used to terrify baseball fans. Getting Juan Soto, it's nice to be able to pair him with Aaron Judge, especially with that short porch in right field. And, how you're going to be able to hit a ton more homers, most likely, with that ballpark. But like to Brad's point, pitching, Cole aside, is still really an issue. Now, if they add someone else, all right, maybe then we're talking. That moves the needle a little bit more. But right now, I am not scared for the O's. I don't worry about the O's. I think the O's are in a really good position right now to contend for another AL East title. And I think adding Craig Kimbrell, people may look at that. We talked about it. It's like, oh, Craig Kimbrell, that's not, people are indifferent about it. People look at what he did in the NLCS for the Phillies, those 2 blown games. It fills a need that the O's need right now. The O's already won the AL East. The O's already got that 1 seed in the American League. The O's are still looking to contend for a World Series down the line. And I think the Baltimore Orioles are in a really good position right now, despite what the Yankees did with Juan Soto.
Look, and that's what we're saying. It's still the Orioles are going to be the team to beat right now, right? This is, they've earned that right. But now that you are the hunted, the other teams are going to get better. And the Yankees are going back to what makes them work. Go spend big on some guys. I've seen the Yankees have players come up for pitching wise. You go, who the hell is that? And then they just dominate. I don't know why or how. They do a tremendous job though with their scouting. It's going to be fun. But if anyone thinks that the Yankees are going to be some rollover, what happened last year for certain teams is considered an okay season, solid year. That was a massive disappointment in New York.
Brutal.
And that was unacceptable in New York. And that's where it's rolling to right now, where the Yankees are saying, and Cashman heard it loud and clear. Everyone was ripping on Cashman. He's got to go. Boone's got to go. They go, you know what? Enough. We're going to go make moves, and we're going to make our presence be felt. Brad, I think you got a pull up for everyone right now.
Yeah, right now we were just starting into the Kimbrel conversation, so I put up a poll here, just simple yes or no in the chat. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and participate in that. So far, 100% of you guys are in agreement that the O's are actually better with Craig Kimbrel, given the controversial signing. So lots of people, of course, talking about the playoffs, and we have some talking heads out there also giving the Orioles a hard time. We're going to get into that in just a moment about the Craig Kimbrel signing. But so far,
Whoa,
hey,
we what the O's fans that are happy with this decision.
Oh dear.
Jeez.
You're geez. You need something.
Went back to
he's hitting puberty again at 42 years old.
42. Yeah. 47-year-old. Round the corner here.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Brad. I love you, man.
Don't you love it?
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Hey, and just see, because I'm seeing some new people rolling. There's a lot of buzz around the Orioles, and thank you for the guys that just joined the chat that I had not used to seeing the names. I don't think I've seen Rolling with Rock on there. Hey, welcome to the show. We're going to talk more Orioles here in a little bit when we go around Maryland on our Adams Jeep segment. We're going to dive into a couple other spicy topics because there are a lot of spicy topics to get into, especially with Craig Kimbrel. If you think we're done talking about Craig Kimbrel, you are mistaken. So stay with us, but we need to continue with our show for the evening, and that's to go into our next topic, which is spicy because it's still NFL season. That's things everyone got fired up with the Orioles. Completely. Oh, damn. Rocco.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I was going to say something, but I decided not to. And Joe said it.
I was waiting for Brad to fire that off. Something about the hairline, something about how
I wasn't going to fight Brad's battles for him, but I'm glad someone did.
Listen, my voice is cracking because I'm not feeling all that great. I'm under the weather, but
way to make fun of him, Rocco.
I was just going to let it go, but damn, that was Joe off the top rope. I appreciate you.
Joe's going to put in a number tomorrow, and I'm going to pick the lowest possible outcome for him because that's where he stands with me right now. I think
this is what we love.
I think you're
we love this on
tomorrow, Joe.
We love this on the Ryan Ripken show. We love the banter. Good. We love Shred and Rocco. All the above. Keep it coming. We enjoy it. But here's something spicy that we need to talk about, guys. The NFL right now, which is still happening, by the way, it's going to be week 14. Week 14 tonight with one of the worst games you could possibly watch, and probably going to watch every minute of it after the show's over. The Pats Steelers. But the MVP conversation right now is starting to heat up. But before the MVP conversation, there's a specific player that's a part of the conversation, Brock Purdy. BCB. Brock and the Niners are rolling. And Michael Lombardi goes as far as to say that Brock Purdy reminds him of an absolute legend in San Francisco history. And we have the clip here to show it.
to make people understand the game of football. They see it their way and they just won't change, and so it's hard to get them to see the obvious. And this is really obvious. I mean, look, I'm embarrassed to say I was in a scouting profession and this kid went in the 7th round. How did you recognize it as somebody better? But one of the things you have to do in scouting is admit you made a mistake. And so this kid in that tape last week, Kyle Shanahan has complete faith in him. And I said on my podcast last week when he was 11-1 to be the MVP that, there are a lot of Joe Montana-like qualities in the player. Now, he's not Joe. I'm not suggesting that. But his rhythm, his accuracy, his athleticism is sneaky good. And he's got great timing, and he throws the ball. And all he does is play point guard. He just distributes the football to the people in the right spot. And they have confidence in him, and he's likable. The team loves him. They love him. One of the things about Pickett, the team loves Pickett, right? If Pickett wasn't the kind of kid he was, I think the Steelers would be easier to move away from him. But they love him as a competitor and as a person.
Takes the boys to concerts.
Yeah, I mean, this kid is so good. Like, I don't know why. The two players I don't understand why they're not in the MVP conversation. It was Purdy and Tyreek Hill.
Interesting. And we're going to dive into that Tyreek Hill part in a second. Brock Purdy, I think the fact that he was saying about obvious, right? Because so many people, everyone passed over Brock Purdy, including the San Francisco 49ers, until being Mr. Irrelevant. So it's not that all these teams where the San Francisco was like, yep, we took the chance. Yes, they took the chance on him, but it took until the final pick to do so. So, guys, I mean, initial thoughts here on Zach. I'll start off with you with Brock. I know where you're going with this.
He's not even a top MVP candidate on his own team. Like, I don't understand how you can put Brock Purdy in the MVP conversation when he just gives the ball to Christian McCaffrey, Debo, and Ayuk, and they make magic happen. If you're gonna make an MVP case right now for someone on the San Francisco 49ers, it's Christian McCaffrey, not Brock Purdy. And it's ridiculous that it's just because it's a quarterback award.
I agree. Just to piggyback on that, we wouldn't be having this conversation about Brock Purdy had he not been Mr. Irrelevant and now performing the way that he is. That's just my opinion. I think that he's playing really great. This isn't me shredding Brock Purdy. It's just that if you put anybody else in the position that he's in, they would do well. They would succeed. I could take any mid quarterback right now, plug him in there, and he would also be putting up similar numbers. For me to be in an MVP conversation, you have to make a significant difference on your team. And I just feel like there's more other players, such as the Tyreek Hill, and we'll get into that in a little bit, that are making significant impacts on their team to where if they weren't there, the team would be doing worse. So Brock Purdy isn't the reason, in my opinion, that San Francisco 49ers are winning games. I think that he's not losing them. And I hate to put him in a game manager type of label because he is better than that. It's just that I don't see him as an MVP type candidate because he's not the difference maker on that team. To Zach's point, a Christian McCaffrey, a Debo Samuel defense is what's making the difference on that team.
Yeah.
Rocco, don't you do it.
I would agree with Zach to an extent and Brad both, because we've had this conversation. If you're going to give it to Brock Purdy or if he ends up winning the award, you just got to call it a quarterback's award because that's what it's been in recent years. It's gone to quarterback after quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. I also agree with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Brock Purdy is not the best player on his team at this point in time. That goes to Christian McCaffrey. What he's doing in the NFL, what he's doing for fantasy teams, that's not part of my argument, but he is significantly helping out my fantasy team. He's one of the top players.
Mine too.
Absolutely killing it. But how versatile he is, what he's able to do in the ground game, in the pass game. Christian McCaffrey is having a hell of a season. And if we're going to put Brock Purdy up there, Christian McCaffrey needs to be as much up there or higher than Brock Purdy. Now, I will say this about Brock Purdy, and you guys can say what you want about the weapons he has. We talked about Jalen Hurts last year being in the end. Well, we didn't, but it was talked about a lot, the weapons he had, winning his team games. He had, look at the offense he's got. Look at the weapons he has. If you're on a good team, you're going to have weapons. If you have weapons, you're probably going to be in the MVP conversation. I just look at what Brock Purdy has done, not to take anything away from what he's done this season. Against the Cowboys, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 252 yards. He was efficient. Against the Eagles, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 314 yards. He was efficient. Against the Jaguars, I'm talking 3 playoff teams right here. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 296 yards. He was efficient. Statistically, he's got 3,185 yards. That's 7th in the league. 23 touchdowns. That's 4th. 6 interceptions, tied for 65th. And then his QBR, it sits atop the chart. So what Brock Purdy is doing, he's having a really good season. I agree with you, Brad, to an extent about if he wasn't Mr. Irrelevant, it wouldn't be this feel-good story of worst to first, the last guy picked in the draft to MVP. In my opinion, and I know we're going to get into it, Tyreek Hill should be at the top of the list right now. And Shekel, he dropped it in here. Tyreek, MVP if 2K achieved. I completely 1,000% agree.
My final argument on this would be if you put a Justin Fields in that position, what would he put up similar numbers? If you put up even a Jared Goff, like I think Jared Goff and Brock Purdy have a similar game in that, like, you know, you have these players around you and you're making the best of it. I just don't see how it's MVP. It belongs in the MVP conversation.
Exactly. I think Brock Purdy is having a very good season, but there is a difference between having a very good season and winning the MVP. And I think that's where the difference is.
Agree.
Yeah, okay. I understand I'm not saying that he needs to be the MVP because I do think McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill and other non-quarterbacks should be more into the discussion. But I think what gets me is the system. Of course, if you play in San Francisco, it's any coaching scheme, right? You know, wasn't Nick Foles statistically had his best year when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles early on, and then when he came back in and they won the Super Bowl being the backup, he elevated his game, and the system around it can elevate your game, right? But you have to be able to command the offense, be able to make and anticipate throws, and be able then to improvise. And I think Brock Purdy has done that better. And for Justin Fields to bring up, Justin Fields is so talented, but sometimes what people say about Justin Fields of being able to quickly anticipate where to go with the ball and to make those types of decisions. Now, Justin Fields can do other things athletically that Brock Purdy can't, but Brock leads the entire NFL in QBR too. So that's my point of it is this isn't to me a fluke. And I think that Brock Purdy is in a similar case where until he's got to keep winning and winning, and then if he keeps winning, then they'll be like, oh, he's good. But it's similar to Tom Brady where everyone's going, oh, that's Belichick. That team's good. Very good defense. Not until Tom Brady kept doing it for 10 years did people start to give it a little bit of credit. Now, Brock hasn't even played a full season of football yet. But damn, no quarterback really is off to a better start in his first, how many starts now?
I don't even know. It's got to be like 17, 18.
It might be more than that. It might be over a year and a half. But what I'm saying is BCB is balling. And he has some great pieces, but with him at the helm, he makes those pieces even better and vice versa. It's a great match. But the other part of the argument that we've talked about, which leads into the other part of this, part 2 of this, is really who should the MVP be? Should it be more of an open conversation? And I believe, Brad, we have a clip on this of a few of the ESPN group that talk about the conversation of who should be the MVP.
Yeah, it's more about the conversation continued about Brock Purdy being the MVP and kind of Dan Orlovsky and Kimberly Martin kind of going at it over this topic. So take a listen.
Like, just look at the way, if you watch how he's playing, if you look at the numbers, where he's ranked, he may not be elite, right? But the numbers that he's putting up, he's an elite rarefied air right now. Like numbers that are comparable to Brady and Mahomes. And that's what's so frustrating about this conversation, because this is a 49ers team that has been to the playoffs, been to a Super Bowl. With Jimmy Garoppolo, they haven't looked like this. When you look at the efficiency, when you look at how these guys respond to him, the way this team plays, it does such a disservice to him. It's very frustrating.
Yes or no? Brock Purdy, 100% confident. 55 seconds left in a playoff game on your own 25-yard line and 1 timeout left. Is he going to go win a championship for you? Yes or no?
Bishop.
Yeah, you're all in. All in.
I'm all in. I'm all in on Brock Purdy, and the fact that Swagoo put him and Garoppolo in the same sentence is doing him a disservice. Like they're not even in the same area code. Right?
Perhaps not, but what he said is accurate. Jimmy Garoppolo took this team to the Super Bowl. Well, that's what happened.
That defense.
Why did you just make that sound? What sound is that you're making?
Took San Francisco.
What?
It's the word took.
He was the quarterback of the team, and they went to the Super Bowl.
Jimmy did not play like Brock. Like, that's the reality. And I just need everybody to get it around your skulls. Like, he did not play like Brock is. And I understand he was the quarterback. But when I think people point to, I could be the quarterback of this team. Like, you just throw to Christian McCaffrey, you just throw to Debo, da-da-da-da. Brock Purdy is benefiting from Yak at a far less rate than Patrick Mahomes was in his 2 MVP seasons. Like, it's not just he's just dinking it off and guys are just taking it to the house.
Well, I understand Brock Purdy has a lot of dynamic players around him, but you still got to go out there and make the plays. You look at this throw that he throws against the Seattle Seahawks where he threads the needle. Dan, you talked about this throw multiple times, right? And he's able to get that over a numerous of defenders and be able to complete this football. And then you look at the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars where he's scrambling to the left, right? Naked bootleg. Things aren't there. He's scrambling, looking, and then he makes this thread the needle type throw to Brandon Ayuk. And then lastly, this touchdown pass to George Kittle is unbelievable. Look how his arm is getting hit. He has somebody barreling down the middle of his body, but he still stays in there, hangs in there, and completes that football. When a guy was running with George Kittle man-to-man. So Brock Purdy is able to make the anticipation throws. He's able to thread the needle. So he's not just a quarterback that's dinking and dunking. And yes, he does have a luxurious toys to throw the football to. But you also have to be able to make it look right at the quarterback position.
All right.
BCB. But it's right. You can't teach that type of anticipation to be. That is on Brock. That is all on Brock on that. It helps. I thought it was a great point at the end. You can have all these luxurious weapons at your disposal, but you got to go out and be able to make the plays and improvise. And Brock Purdy's done a great job of anticipating and improvising with this studded offense that they have. But so with you guys, consensus then before, because we'll move on. If you were to choose an MVP right now, who would it be? Zach.
Tyreek Hill.
Rock.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I'm going Tyreek as well. I just don't know if there's a quarterback out there that's having the same impact on their team or a player that's having the same impact on their team than Tyreek Hill at this point. And especially if he crosses 2,000. Like, that's just going to be absolutely insane. I don't know how you don't vote for Tyreek Hill at this point.
I was going to say that, Brad. Completely agree with that point. The 2,000, I think he has to get to the 2,000 threshold or past it to win MVP in the writers' minds, the people that vote, to do something that hasn't been done in NFL history. It was almost done, but it wasn't. You guys know how many MVPs wide receivers have won in NFL history?
Enlighten us.
Take a guess. Anyone?
One.
Two.
Zero. No wide receiver has ever won NFL MVP in the 67-year history of the award. Tyreek Hill would be the first.
Why did I think Jerry Rice won?
Why did I think that too?
Because Jerry Rice just did everything else.
I'm missing something here. Has to be wrong.
Well, I would have swore Jerry won for some reason.
Well, guess what, Zach? Stop traffic. He didn't, but he did win a lot of rings.
The more you know. Just learning stuff on the
It's kind of crazy to think about, though. It's wild.
Yeah, it is.
Been a quarterbacks, running backs, sometimes defensive players in the mix award.
What was the last MVP non-quarterback? Was that Adrian Peterson?
Adrian Peterson in 2012.
2013, it should have been J.J. Watt. JJ.
Okay.
Watt.
Just saying. We'll find out. I would say if Tyreek gets over 2,000 and that something happens in the NFL that's never happened, that has to be seriously considered. Because if he does that, more than likely, the Dolphins are going to continue to win games. And the Dolphins right now are the number 1 seed in the AFC with a lot of big games remaining, by the way. Dallas, Baltimore, and the Bills. So
it should be unanimous. If Tyreek Hill goes and crosses 2,000 yards receiving, it should be a unanimous MVP.
Well, time will tell. We're going to have to see. Well, another candidate, Jalen Hurts, who people thought became the favorite for a hot second. They had a tough loss, obviously, to the San Francisco 49ers, but that's not the story here. The story here on what's spicy with this topic is that David Carr on NFL Network was talking about with the Eagles' upcoming game with the Dallas Cowboys, that the Eagles might be better off resting Jalen Hurts, but it might have been more of other topics or context of it that might have you scratching your head here. One of the comments being that the backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota, might be the better answer right now. So I want you guys to take a listen.
Rob's point is Jalen is 100%, and he is that dynamic weapon in the run game because that creates your offense on the outside and your one-on-ones. Clearly, Jalen isn't comfortable reading through a defense in a drop-back pass scenario. Some would say he's not even good at it. And I think that when you look at this team, you have to have a serious conversation if you're Philly. And you have to really say, is it better for us to play Marcus Mariota right now and let Jalen get fully healthy? Because I would argue that it does not matter if you're the number 1 seed. Because if the 49ers come into Philly again, they do not care. They do not care. If raining in Philly, doesn't matter. But irrelevant.
You're the coach. You're Nick Sirianni. You go up to Jalen Hurts. He's like,
I'm
dude,
you, I can play, crazy coach. Conversation.
I can play. How are you going to tell me after I just got paid, we do all of this stuff, I'm in the MVP runner. We just had a board up there reading his MVP odds, and now you're going to telling me to sit.
Big picture, brother. Like that's you have to do. Like if you're Nick Sirianni, this is the type of decision and conversation you have to have if you have a big picture mentality. And I think you can have that conversation honestly with Jalen. And if you set him down, that's all Jalen talks about is the end result and getting to the Super Bowl and winning that thing. The best way we can do it. They didn't run the football at all with him. Twice. That's not it, man. That's not the winning edge. Put Marcus in there, win a couple games. Yeah. Maybe you have the number 1 seed still. You might have it. I'd say he's probably better at playing quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, he would be more productive.
Hey, I didn't say that, Philly.
Later,
I didn't say that,
when
Philly.
You're healthy, we'll see
I know what time it is. I didn't say that. He said that. It's
all the way to the Super Bowl. We'll see.
Okay. All right.
It's safe to say that David Carr will never, ever be a head coach in the NFL. Can we agree on that?
Well, yes. I don't think that opportunity's coming to fruition anytime soon. But here's my thing.
I'm impressed.
Yep. Why?
Because I view, I'll sit up a little bit for this. I like to view myself as a Jalen Hurts hater. Like, I don't hate him, but I definitely am not the biggest fan of him.
Jeez. Okay. Learning a lot here on the Ryan Ripken show.
Even I was like, this is so stupid. And I whenever I see stuff about Jalen Hurts, I'll jokingly retweet it and stuff. But this was I respect being that deep of a hater. I couldn't do that. But to say Marcus Mariota could play better than Jalen Hurts can right now, I'll say Lamar is better than Jalen Hurts. That's where I'll put it. But Marcus Mariota, that's interesting. I respect it.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. I think the bigger part of it, he was trying to make the point that Jalen Hurts is not healthy, and part of his game is being mobile, being able to use his legs, and that opens up another dimension of the offense. And that's why having Marcus Mariota, who is going to be in a better position if his legs are actually healthy. And we know Jalen Hurts has been banged up, but he is going out there, and Jalen Hurts has just led how many fourth quarter or comeback victories over the last X amount of games. I think it was when he said that Marcus Mariota would play better right now. That's where we're sitting there, and Rock, I see you shaking your head. That's where we're starting to scratch our hair, pull our hair out. But Rock, you and I can't afford to pull out our hair, bud.
We cannot, man. Yeah, unless we want to go on the hair plugs diet and maybe get a sponsorship from Bosley, Rogaine, whoever else. Yeah, there's Vontae Leach right there. We want to talk.
Yeah, how about this with Vontae putting Carr on blast? So Vontae Leach, former Baltimore Raven, also his teammates with David Carr, obviously. And for those that can't read, I will do it for you. Hey, Carr, you are the quarterback who did not know plays when I played for Houston. Short memory, huh?
Unreal.
It's David Carr's fault, though. Because, would you remember the play if 90% of them just ended with you getting sacked? Did it really matter what was being called? Let's be real. He was no matter what David Carr was doing, like he was getting sacked. So like, did it really matter if he knew the play?
The whole thing he said about Jalen and benching him for Mariota. I mean, first of all, Jalen Hurts has read that script before in college at Alabama. And I'll tell you this, that dude's work ethic is something else, and he will be playing until the wheels fall off. You will not see Jalen Hurts getting benched. You will not see Nick Sirianni benching Jalen Hurts. The dude's a winner. He's going to find ways to win, whether it's a Super Bowl or not. He's going to go out and win this team games, the Eagles, and he gives the Eagles the best option possible to win games, the quarterback position. To even throw out the fact that Marcus Mariota would be better than Jalen Hurts right now, injury or not, is asinine. That's craziness. And if your team to go 0-17, then you might want to hire David Carr as a head coach. If you want your team to win, if he's up for a head coaching position, that's not a guy that I'm calling on the phone. Like I don't know how you can. It just baffles me, some of the things that guys get away with saying on air, and they still continue to have a job.
That was kind of my point. I was just like, how does this guy even have a job with takes like that? Makes absolutely no sense. And the thing of it is, like, you can have a take like that, but there was nothing that he provided with that take to back up his opinion that actually made any sort of sense.
It's the entertainment value he's bringing to it for clicks, for views, and we're talking about it right now. So clearly he's doing his job right. But that was just a brutal take.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part of it too. A injury or a 70%, 80% Jalen Hurts is still going to be better than the 100% Marcus Mariota. There's a leadership component. There's a demeanor when you're on the field that they believe they have a better chance when Jalen Hurts is on the field. And quite frankly,
success ratio, push, brotherly shove success.
Tush
in the push, baby. It's still alive and
pushing the tush.
Pushing the tush.
Brad,
tush in
roll the
push.
polls again, man. Come on.
Yeah,
tush in the push.
So yeah, so you know, excuse my language, but I don't give a shit. It happens.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, talking about Zach because I got to deal with him.
Yeah, because Rocco can't show up to work again.
Dude,
why
that was
the chair up
hilarious.
to Rocco?
I was watching that stream in the car on the way back from my mom's birthday dinner and just like dying laughing, like commenting. And first of all, the Zach Bollinger to Zach Wilson, you're an idiot because it was a greater than sign. So like, I don't know what they teach you in school or what they taught you in school like 2 years ago when you were there.
I didn't say anything. That was Brad. I think that was Brad who's commented on that.
No, he didn't.
Brad was smart because he gets it.
All right, kids.
This is ridiculous.
We're getting off topic here. I think,
like usual.
You know what? Just because we're running a little bit behind, we might. The other one we wanted to get to was always when someone comments. You know, Vontae Leach making a comment about David Carr. There was another situation where you're never safe on social media, and any family member that's going to comment on any type of performance or coaches. It was Chris Godwin's wife was talking about Todd Bowles' comments about his usage and that Chris Godwin was really banged up when in reality his snap count was just about the same. It's just that Chris Godwin's numbers weren't as well. So that was the gist of it. We don't have to dive more into it, but just food for thought. You're never safe on the internet. If you tweet something, you Instagram story anything, anyone can find it. Fair to say?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Why'd you look to me and say that? Like
you have also.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably am on the social media the most for us.
You have no one has more drafts than
oh, my drafts are ridiculous.
Quickly, if you can, not to put you on the spot with that topic, just from the former athlete's perspective, like what would be the reaction in the locker room or the clubhouse if your wife or fiance or girlfriend commented on something like publicly and had that platform? Because I'm all for supportive girlfriends, wives, and fiancés, but how would your team, how would the coaching staff take that? Something like that.
Oh, it would not go well. It would not go well. That's a very awkward conversation. Not that she doesn't have any valid points, but when you got to go in and you got to get called in and go, hey, we got to talk about this. It's no professional coach or organization likes to be called out publicly by someone associated with the team. Imagine any other player. Remember when was it? I forget if it was with OBJ with his dad. Was it with OBJ?
He released. Didn't he release the tape of Baker Mayfield, the highlight tape?
Yeah,
and
it was when he was
Baker Mayfield.
And again, but then it's that goes towards OBJ, and that had nothing to do with specifically with Odell Beckham Jr., but it's a talking point. It's a distraction to the team that no one wants to talk about. And I think that's the bigger part of it is there's frustrations and there's support, and absolutely she's supporting her husband. You just got to be careful, because as soon as you put something out and you delete it, if it's out there for a second, we've seen it. You have people like Zach here that's waiting to capture it.
Oh, yeah. I am a serial tweet. I will say I'm a serial tweet deleter. Like, I'll realize I made a mistake in a tweet and I'll go back and delete it. And like, I'll make the same mistake again. So I'm like, I'm sure people see if I don't know if anyone would, but if you have post notifications,
you'd have to have your notifications on. I don't think anyone has those on for you, Zach.
I was just addressing this, Rocco.
I wanted to beat you to that because I didn't want you like.
I wish we had a mute button.
Yeah, you guys are good kids. All right, hey, I think we're running a little bit behind. We always are, but I think it is. I think it's fair to say I think we're ready to take a little tour, Brad, around Maryland on Adams Jeep. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it. So, guys, today's show and specifically this segment has been brought to you by Adams Jeep. Shout out to them. They are our first sponsor of the show, so we really appreciate the support that they have given us. And you could pay that forward if you guys are looking for a new Jeep. Go check them out over in Aberdeen, Adams Jeep. I have one. I have a badass Gladiator. Love that truck. And it is gone everywhere and anywhere and has been a super reliable vehicle. Love my Jeep. It's actually my 5th Jeep. So clearly I'm a Jeep guy. Go check them out over at Adams Jeep. If you're in the market for one, you can't go wrong over there with Adams.
Love it. Love it. All right. Now let's take that tour, shall we? Around Maryland here. Terps, the men's basketball team, the men, they finally got their first Big Ten victory. It was their second game, but it's been a rough start for the Maryland basketball team. They got an overtime win against Penn State. Shout out to the Terps. Big win for them. They needed it. On the flip side, the women's team that's been very solid and consistent for years, they were idle. They don't play their Big Ten opener until December 10th, which is upcoming, I believe, on Sunday. Is that or Saturday? Sunday. Gosh, I Rocco, were we talking about this earlier where we can't remember the days around the holidays?
Yeah.
Is that when we were recording Ripken
I
Rock?
had to look up at our calendar we have to make sure. And yeah, you're right. It's Sunday, baby.
Yeah, Sunday.
Well, and then down in DC, unfortunately for the Washington Capitals, they got spanked by the Coyotes 6-0, but they're back on the horse tonight playing the Dallas Stars. Because they scored no goals, that means Alex Ovechkin could not make his way closer to breaking that goal record. All right. We will talk more about some of those teams, especially as basketball picks up. I think a lot of people here like not low key. If you grew up in Maryland, you were pulling hard for Terps basketball. Like that was the thing. That was the team. The early 2000s was a time. That was a vibe. So we'll get more into that. But I think this is a topic, Brad, people are waiting to get back into. Craig Kimbrell.
Yes.
Coming to the Orioles. Ever heard of him? Ever heard of the Orioles? Ever heard of the team? Well, guess what? The Orioles finally made their first move of the offseason, going out and getting the closer for 1 year, $13 million. And Rocco, if I'm not mistaken, the Orioles have a club option.
Yes, they do.
Craig Kimbrell in 2025.
That is big. Yes, sir.
So, guys, I think this is the part. I think I tweeted this out yesterday. I was kind of baffled with how many people had a backlash for signing Craig Kimbrell. Can one of you guys want to enlighten me on your thoughts if you're feeling that way?
People just want to be upset. It really, I think it just comes down to that. It comes down to the point that no matter what the Orioles do, if it's not going to be a Juan Soto, just like the top guy, an Ohtani people are gonna be upset, and they view it as, is Craig Kimbrell Felix Bautista? And I think we need to get everything straight here. Felix Bautista doesn't grow on trees. Like, closers like that aren't just available. There was not going to be someone that we could bring in besides maybe a Josh Hader who could replicate that kind of production. So I think people were upset with that. But at the end of the day, you have to understand the Orioles got better yesterday. And that's the goal. That's Mike Elias every single day wants to make the Orioles better than they were the day before. And it was accomplished yesterday.
Listen, I agree with you, but there are other personalities around the media landscape, I should say. Adam Shine being one of them, was feeling himself today after the Juan Soto signing, and then decided to take a jab at us Oriole fans. Take a listen.
Riddle and weep if you're a fan of the Boston Red Sox. Riddle and weep if you're a fan of the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles, by the way, signed Craig Kimbrell. I can't even say that without laughing. The Orioles said, you know what? I have a great idea. We just had this great season, great regular season. Didn't trade for any pitching help. Got swept out of the postseason. Why don't we light our bullpen, which is a strength, on fire? And light it on fire. Let the Yankees go get Juan Soto.
So obviously, Adam feeling himself there. But listen, I love Adam. But at the same time, the Orioles don't have to do hardly anything and continue to win. And that was kind of my thoughts on the Kimbrell signing. It needed another arm there. And Ryan, you brought up some really great points about removing two really bad games last year and what his stats were removing those two games towards, I believe, his beginning of last season. So while Adam can feel himself about the Juan Soto signing, and as he should, being a Yankees fan, I don't think that the shots taken at the Orioles and the Kimbrell signing are quite valid. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, no. By the way, I love Adam. He has the great character with it. Yeah, he's a Yankees fan. Let's cut him some slack, everyone. He roots for the Yankees. He's going to have this up and down roller coaster, right? Hey, maybe we'll do a friendly bet with Adam, Brad, about this upcoming season with the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think the hate for Craig Kimbrell was just unjustified, and not the signing. For every fan that was getting upset about it, why are the Orioles signing him? Okay, let's run through this real quickly. This is let's put on I don't even know what hat I'm going to put on, but I guess I know baseball a little bit, so let me dive into this. Here we go. Ready, set, go. The Orioles were looking for a closer. They needed one. If you want to look at the prices of everyone else that was around, Josh Hader wants a multi-year contract, and his price is going to be, if you thought $13 million for Josh Hader was going to do the job, do the trick, hell no. Ronaldo Lopez on the Chicago White Sox just got to deal with the Braves for 3 years, $30 million. So if you think that if you don't even know who that is, by the way, that just goes to show you, what is Josh Hader going to get? So first off. Secondly, Craig Kimbrell. Yes, I understand everyone's lasting impression is the postseason. 2 games that the Phillies maybe let get away. But let's not also forget the fact that the Phillies didn't close out games in 6 and 7 in Philly. And Craig Kimbrell was a big part of getting the Philadelphia Phillies to the position that they were in. He had 4 scoreless outings beforehand. All right, now let's dive a little bit deeper into Craig Kimbrell. He blew 5 saves last season. Okay? 5. He had 28 opportunities, converted 23 of them. Yennier Cano, great year for Cano. He blew 6 saves in 14 opportunities. Okay? 6 saves he blew in 14 opportunities, and he was not the starter or the closer until Batista was out. And I get it. He also had other games where he was going into the position, right? Where if Batista wasn't available, Cano would go in there for the close. Felix Batista blew 6 saves, by the way. Some of the best closers in the game, Emmanuel Clase for the Guardians, had a year where he blew 12. Josh Hader blew 5, by the way. And I'm not saying this to say we understand those guys. They're still, you can say, Ryan, they have great stuff. You want to talk about stuff? Let's talk about stuff. Craig Kimbrell, pure stuff, Rocco. How was he graded in the NL?
I was listening to MLB Network the other day, and they said he has, as far as closers go, the best pure stuff as far as NL closers. So that was, let me bring up the, I think it was according to Fangraphs. Yep. Number one NL closer in terms of pure stuff per Fangraphs. MLB Network, they dropped that when I kind of watched the reaction to the Orioles bringing in Craig Kimbrell, and those guys seemed pretty, not fired up about it because they're not O's fans, but they seemed pretty okay with it. They weren't like, what are the Orioles thinking in bringing in Craig Kimbrell? Craig Kimbrell is, you want to continue, Rip, and then I'll get into it.
No, you say your part about Craig Kimbrell, and then I'll get back at it.
Craig Kimbrell is 35 years old. Yes, he's not the once shut down closer that he used to be, and that's okay. He's at the, I'd say, tail end of his career, but to get him for the price you got him for, and Orioles fans, some may think it's an overpay at $13 million. What did you just pay Kyle Gibson last year? You paid him 10. What did you pay Jordan Lyles the year before? I'm pretty sure you paid him around 8. So you're getting a veteran guy on a 1-year deal. That's what you got Lyles for. That's what you got Gibson for. Gibson helped the clubhouse out tremendously. Lyles was a veteran presence. Craig Kimbrell can not only do the same thing, but he can be that full-time closer while Felix Bautista misses the entire season with, after undergoing Tommy John surgery. What Craig Kimbrell can brings that veteran presence. He's a 2-3-time reliever of the year. He won the Rolaids Relief Man Award in 2012, and then the 2-time reliever of the year in 2014 and 2017. He's a member of the 300 Save Club. He's a member of the 400 Save Club. This guy, as far as our time goes, is not saying the best, because that would go to Rivera, that would go to Trevor Hoffman. Those are 1-2, knock him down, shut him down. But Craig Kimbrell has to be in the conversation for at least a top 10 closer of our generation right here I'm talking about. Like, the guy can bring it. The club option helps. If he sucks in 2024, you don't have to re-sign him. If he's great in 2024, then you have him for 2025, and he could potentially be a setup guy or a middle to back relief guy for Felix Bautista, for Yennier Cano. I think this is a great addition for the Orioles. I think they addressed one of their biggest, if not the biggest, offseason needs. And now, you know what they can do? They can worry about starting pitching, because that's what Mike Elias said after they brought in Kimbrell. Now we can focus on other things.
Thank you, Rocco.
That's
that sports reporter in you. That's being a good kid. Rocco DeSangro, everyone on that. There it is. Really good kid all around. Hey, Zach gave you applause for a second.
I was going to say.
Wow. Thank you, Zach.
He did give applause.
For you. That was big.
That was big. Zach doesn't give that out very often.
So, Ryan, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah, before I go on my rant?
Yeah. Haven't we talked a few times about, are veterans just their on-field ability? Is that the only reason people get veterans?
Yeah, you know what? I think people only get it for their success on the field. You're exactly right. Wrong. If you talk to any Orioles, and we're actually going to play some of these clips in the future, we'll put them out on Twitter. Every Oriole that we had on this show that was involved on the pitching staff, we're talking about Kyle Bradish, Dean Kramer, Tyler Wells. What do you think that they said about Kyle Gibson this past year? You guys think it was positive? I know everyone in this, Zach already knows. There he is. He's a good kid. Rocco knows, Brad knows. But for everyone that's listening, they said that what Kyle Gibson brought last year to the team was invaluable, and not because of what he was doing on the field. That was a bonus in their eyes. The culture, the ability, it matters. Rock, it stinking matters.
It absolutely does, dude. I'll tell you a quick story about Kyle Gibson. Very quick one. When Cole Irvin got sent down, I think he was pitching in Norfolk at the time. He had a bike drive scheduled here in Baltimore. He couldn't do it because he was scheduled to pitch that night. You know who came over to that school to replace Cole Irvin? Not replace him, but to carry that out and do the bike drive for those kids? It was Kyle Gibson. That veteran presence, and I'm not saying there's a bunch of Kyle Gibsons out there, but I feel like in the baseball community, those veterans are invaluable to the clubhouse, what they bring to the team. And to see a guy like that, Craig Kimbrell, maybe he can bring that veteran presence to the back end of the bullpen. Maybe he can relate to some of the country guys that the Orioles have. He's a Huntsville, Alabama native. Gunnar Henderson, he's an Alabama native as well from Selma. That's something that you don't think of. You look at the on-field performance. Philly fans probably still don't like the guy because of the 2 games in the NLCS. But I think that Craig Kimbrell can bring something valuable to the Orioles. And if you think this is a bad signing, you know what? If it is, come back here and you can yell at us, watch this show back and keep the notes, keep the receipts. But I think this is a signing that's going to pay off for the Birds.
Yeah, I mean, you can yell at me. I'm used to being yelled at. What was come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. Not a kid.
Like Gundy.
Yeah, like
you
Gundy.
You don't have as much hair as Mike Gundy though, buddy.
I don't. He's got some ched. He's got some.
He's
flow.
got some lettuce.
I know. He's got Brad hair. He really does. But Brad's wearing a hat. Shocker. Just kidding. But hey, I want to go back to my rant about Kimbrel here because the veteran presence, I think what everyone's heard in the past was that the Orioles, they had too much inexperience last year, right? Well, guess what? These guys are going to have more experience this year. And for the price that the Orioles got and the value that you're getting, the Orioles are all about value here, by the way. If we haven't figured this out, they're very particular about what they do and who they go after. Craig Kimbrel, after I just brought this up, and Rocco, you mentioned pure stuff, or when I mentioned it to you, you said he was number one in the NL. I would be worried if Craig Kimbrel was declining with his quote-unquote stuff. He threw 69 innings last year, and he punched out 94 guys. So let's just break that down a little bit more. He was top 10 in MLB in K percentage. That means the amount of Ks that he struck out batters and the amount of batters he faced. He was top 10. And then he was top 14 in all of Major League Baseball in strikeouts per 9 innings. So his stuff is still elite, and that's a big part of it. And then as far as his ERA, yeah, the first month of the season, he had 3 outings, 2 of which were uncompetitive or non-competitive, I guess is the right term, non-competitive games, right? They were losing by 1 million to the Rangers. He gave up a 3 spot. Then another in back-to-back outings against the Dodgers, he gave up another 6 runs. So in an inning and 1 inning and a third, he gave up 9 earned runs. So if I do the math right, carry the 1, he threw 69 innings. You subtract those numbers, he'd have 67 and 2/3 innings, and his ERA would be a 2.14 for the rest of the year. And for people saying, well, he was running out of gas at the end, Ryan, he had a 1.5 ERA in September. I mean, he had 3 of those months where he had an ERA below, and every closer, every pitcher is going to have down months. You just hope that those down months or times are limited. And for Kimbrel, he's proving he can be elite. So for the Orioles, don't you want a guy that you feel like can shoulder and take the criticism, take the negativity, take pressure off of guys like Cano or CNL Perez? Oh, and by the way, the other part of it, these young players like Tyler Wells, who could be in the bullpen, DL Hall, who has electric stuff that could be asked to be in a role. Yeah, they could be closing games for this team too. But you have a guy that's been there and done that. And I know that people are looking at, well, what if he does that, Ryan, like he does in the NLCS? And my point to that is Kimbrel can help you get to the championship series. But to get to the championship series, you got to win in the regular season, and then you got to win in the DS. And then we can talk about it.
And you talked about him running out of gas. One time in his career before this season has he appeared in more than 70 games. And that was his second season in the league when he pitched 79. He appeared in 71 games this year. He threw 1,122 pitches. That's taxing on a guy. You talk about running out of gas. He pitched a lot at 34, 35 years old. I don't know if the O's are going to want to use him as much as the Phillies did, but I mean, he's going to be the full-time closer. He's got the experience. It's a guy that, for O's fans, I think you got the best bang for your buck at that reliever closer role, bringing in a guy like Craig Kimbrel.
Yeah, and to the point of it, because then rolling with Rock, in a vacuum, I still like the Kimbrel deal, but I bet my bottom dollar it's not the only move Elias makes. O's already build the border of their puzzle. They're only trying to find those final fills. And yes, we talked about it, and this is the whole conversation with Dylan Cease. The Orioles are they're going after pitching heavily. That is no secret. They don't care as much about going to get an offensive piece. They feel like they have that. For the Baltimore Orioles, too, keep this in mind, and I just brought this up. Someone is not going to be in the rotation. And if the pitchers that they have are still there, guys like DL Hall, Tyler Wells, there's going to be guys coming out of the pen. And we saw Tyler Wells, how effective he was out of the bullpen. We saw how effective DL Hall was once he got healthy and was starting to figure it out. Now, back to the Dylan Cease then. I just brought that up. The Orioles seem to be the front runners or one of the front runners for Dylan Cease. But the question still remains is what do the Orioles truly want to give up? Because that's where this whole discussion goes. The Orioles have so many in their minds possible future stars, but they're lottery tickets because you don't know which one is actually going to be the star that you're hoping them to be. So, guys, I have a question for you. who really are the untouchables? We had a poll on Twitter earlier, a question, sorry. And Brad, can we get a poll up possibly about I don't even know how to
untouchables. Who the first one we asked was, who are your 3 untouchables for the Orioles prospect wise? Obviously Gunnar, Adley, those guys are not being traded. The Bradishes, the Graysons, they're going to stay. And honestly, pretty much 4 guys. It was a rotation of 4 guys in the untouchables between Samuel Basayo, Kobe Mayo, Heston Kjerstad, and the obvious Jackson Holiday. So it seems like if people had to pick 3, there's a pretty good consensus in the Orioles fan base on the guys they want to keep. But on the other side, you have to understand, to get a guy like Dylan Cease, to go get a guy like Corbin Burns, Shane Bieber, other teams are going to want these guys too. Just because the Orioles say, hey, we don't want to give them up, doesn't mean that they have to accept a deal that doesn't include them.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the constant conversation goes. Okay. So I think that we need to just kind of address on that of, look, the Orioles are in a position where they're ahead of schedule, right? I think it's fair to say they thought maybe it would be this year, upcoming year would be the year where maybe things would start to quote unquote take off. That happened a year in advance. So, hey guys, I'll ask you then, is there an untouchable for you? Rocco, I think I know your answer. Brad, I'll give you a second on that. But is there an untouchable that no chance you can give him up? And on the flip side, then, if you give me your untouchable, who is a person that if the Orioles said, hey, we can get one of these guys, that you would be okay with them letting go?
Not named Jackson Holiday.
Well, Jackson, I think it's before we go across the board here, put your hand as a panel. Jackson Holiday off the board. Actually, we'll do it this way. Put your hand up if this guy's not untouchable. Okay? Not untouchable. Okay? So, Rocco, put your hands down. Put your hand down.
I thought you were putting fingers down. Like, put a finger down.
No. This is not. No.
Oh, my God.
What are we doing? Jesus.
What a dumbass.
Jesus.
I'm so sorry, fellas. I'm so sorry.
Okay, we're not playing Never Have I Ever tonight. We are playing Untouchable or Touchable. Okay, that doesn't sound better either. All right.
No, it doesn't.
Hands, when I ask, you raise your hand if he is tradable. That's better.
Good.
Good
work.
Yeah, we're moving out of. Yeah. Tradable, untradeable. You put your hand up if he's tradable. Jackson Holiday. Heston Kjerstad. Sam Basayo. Ooh. So you think Sam Basayo could be moved? Okay. Good to know. Kobe Mayo.
Oh, nope.
No. Everyone else can go. Those 4. My number 2 untouchable is Basayo.
Okay. Well, what about this? Oh, not that one.
we did a top 3 on Rip and Rock today, me and Ryan each, and my top 3 that untouchables were Basayo, Holiday, and Kjerstad. And if we were to do a top 4, Mayo would be on that list. But those 3 guys, I would not feel comfortable with the Orioles moving at all.
It would depend on who we were giving them up for. Like if it's a superstar guy, and I'm trying to think of like who that would be, but like if it was a Juan Soto type caliber player, I would be okay with giving up one of them, and it would not be named Jackson Holiday. So I would even say if it was a Juan Soto caliber type player, that Heston Kjerstad could be on that block.
You're gonna piss old Joe off, man.
I mean, that's fine.
And that's the thing, because that's the Arkansas connection
right there.
But here it is right now. We're talking about guys that you wouldn't trade. This is what the Orioles are dealing with right now: is who do they really want to give up? And quite frankly, there's a lot of guys that they're sitting there going, man, I don't know. And then the other one that we didn't talk about, Colton Cowser, is another guy that they really are high on.
Yeah, I would still take Colton. Like, what would it take? Who would you trade? Would you trade any one of those guys? And I'm just saying one, not a package, just one. Would you trade any one of those guys to get Manny Machado back at third?
No.
Not one.
No. I don't think Manny. Well, I'm trying to think of like what superstar I would trade, because even I know
he's still one of the third basemen in the
yeah,
right. But be realistic in the superstars you would trade for, because that means they have to take on that contract.
$350 million.
Yeah.
So this will be the part of it. So right now they're going for pitchers. If you wanted Burns or Bieber, it's going to be less of a price. Cease is the highest price. That's just what the Orioles are dealing with. The price range for Burns and Bieber is going to be lower than Cease because of Cease's age and his team control. So the Orioles need to figure out that, and the other part is the White Sox need to figure out what the hell they want to do. And here's the other kicker that we haven't talked about. As soon as the Yamamoto deal is finished, or the Ohtani deal is done, then we're going to see teams probably get more desperate. So the White Sox, in my eyes, they're going to sit back and wait, because they don't have to be in a rush, because they know Dylan Cease is going to be in demand. Same thing with Corbin Burns and Bieber, but it's going to change a little bit as we go.
All right.
So, good.
Let's move on. Actually, had a couple of polls while we've been chatting away, and just want to get your guys' take on it because you weren't aware of these polls. But a couple of them that I put in were your favorite movie snack. Options were popcorn, soft pretzel, nachos, and candy.
So that's why I didn't pick popcorn, because the butter used is not butter.
Yeah. I had no clue.
Best movie snack: popcorn, soft pretzel, nachos, or candy.
Candy.
Why would be popcorn?
I'm a big candy guy.
What candy?
Loaded up with butter. Loaded up with butter.
Sour, I like sour candy.
Yeah.
Like I need to be like Sour Patch Kids or something.
What's yours, Brad?
Kids.
Raisinets.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Are you for?
Dude, how do we kick you from the like? It's like your show too, but like
tell me you're the oldest one on the show without telling me.
That is straight to jail.
It was Raisinets when I was a kid. Look, I don't eat Raisinets any other time other than when I watch the movie.
Well, no shit. When would you want to be? You know what? I want Raisinets.
What movies are you watching? The Shining?
Well, that's the next question was favorite football movie. 42% said Remember the Titans. 28% said Tell Us Yours, but nobody said theirs. I think somebody said Brian's song. 14% said The Replacements. Another 14% said Rudy. I'm surprised Rudy wasn't higher on that list.
Mine's The Waterboy.
I love The Waterboy.
Favorite football movie?
I have a Bobby Boucher jersey sitting in my closet. I'll wear it on one of the shows, but I freaking love The Waterboy. I don't care if it's not as sentimental as the rest of them, but that is my favorite, one of my favorite movies of all time, but easily my favorite football movie.
You know what? I was just looking at this. I don't know how to fully dive into that. What's the best way to get the butter through the bag of popcorn?
No, he's right. It is through the straw.
What?
You have to put the straw into
I get what he's saying. Yeah. No, that is a smart way to do it. I just kind of shift it around. But the straw, that's a game. That might be a game changer.
What do you do, Rocco?
Shift it around.
Okay. Got it.
Around town.
That's okay.
Didn't you just go through some sexual harassment training?
No, he hasn't yet, I don't think.
You're a good kid.
The whole company has to. Let's just put that out there. The whole company has to.
That guy.
Not just Rocco. He didn't want to say it. Look at him right now. He wasn't going to say it.
He got red.
You bring up the guy's sexual harassment training, and he gets all
required.
It's required. Hey, when I was in pro ball, we had to have these meetings every single year, and also social media training, which is absolutely hilarious because one of my favorite ones, story time, we'll move into the Ravens-Rams preview. We got told as the Nationals, like, hey, do not use any Nationals gear on anything promoting any event. And that was pretty clear. And then for every year, they talk about examples. So a year later, then flash forward, the same like people are kind of still in the organization. We have the same meeting and we go, hey guys, you remember how we had this conversation last year about do not use the Washington Nationals logo without written consent? And one of the players had like a bash. It's like I forget, it was like K's big bash, and it's these two women with like G-strings on and the Washington Nationals logo right there. Like, come join for the party. And everyone's like, this was the example. This is one of our worst nightmares as a PR group. And then the guy who they were talking about, he goes, well, that party was lit, though. That party was fire.
I bet that was probably their best event they threw.
It was wild.
Yeah. Sounds like you attended.
I did not attend. I think it was down in Atlanta, Georgia. But anyway, we're besides the point.
It was so lit then. Oh my God. Atlanta.
So wait a minute, Zach, what's your favorite football movie?
I'd probably go Longest Yard. I think Longest Yard is hilarious.
That's
underrated.
A good one. Yeah.
Underrated.
Yeah.
There's so many good football movies. Like now you brought that was a good poll, Brad.
The Replacements was mine. Replacements was mine. It was shot in M&T Bank Stadium. I mean, Gene Hackman and Keanu Reeves, so many good actors. I mean, it was a great movie. Great movie.
I actually didn't know that, Brad.
What's
that? Was filmed here?
That it was shot at M&T Bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Baltimore, Rocco.
Yep.
Welcome to Baltimore. It was great. What can't Keanu do, right? You know, he can lead a football team to victories during the strike. You know, he can save the world in an alternate universe in the Matrix, and then he can be John Wick. I don't know. He's just incredible. Guy can do it all. All right. Hey, speaking of doing it all, we're going to jump now from talking about Orioles and everything that's spicy. We're doing it all this show. We're jumping into Ravens Rams. That's the big game this weekend happened in Baltimore, right? And kind of a game where maybe a few weeks ago fans might have felt better about, but Brad, Vegas still thinks differently as far as where this line is, but the Rams are playing pretty good football coming to this game, winning 3 in a row.
They are, but the Ravens are favored by 7.5 points. I feel like that is a lot of points, but when I look at it, Ryan, you take a look at the defensive side of the ball. I mean, it's pretty impressive here. The Ravens are ranked number 2 in overall defense. The Rams are in middle of the pack, around 15 points per game allowed. As you can see, this is probably where Vegas kind of got their numbers from, at least partially, with the points per game allowed. The Ravens are number 1 in the league in points allowed per game at 15.6. Rams are down on the bottom half here at 21.2. The real big number here is just total yards allowed, 331 to 274 on the defensive side of the ball. The Ravens obviously are far superior on the offensive side of the ball. And so I think that this is going to be what it really comes down to, is who has the better defense. Because I think that especially in the run game with 111 yards allowed rushing, that I feel like the run game should do pretty well here in this week's matchup with the Rams.
Yeah, especially right now in the forecast, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, it's supposed to be a rainy game.
Very rainy
in Baltimore.
Cold and rainy football weather.
Welcome to December. Rock, didn't mean to cut you off. You got something there?
I did.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Zach, never mind.
Oh, no, I was saying I meant to cut Rock off.
Oh, then as always. Hey, but this is a big game.
I want to talk now.
What would you like to talk about, Rock?
Nothing. No, I just wanted to cut Zach back off.
Oh, goodness.
Can we move on with the show? I feel like Rock is really distracting us right now.
Okay, Brad, this is what we talked about. This was, you guys actually talked about, we have to just, bring you two in.
Cat herders.
Cat herder. That is what I am. A cat herder.
In the hat.
Okay.
Cat in the hat.
Okay. You know what? It'd be cool to take your hat off again. You can do it. It's allowed.
When Brad takes his off, well, take the hat off.
I've had plenty of shows with no hat on. Shekel says he's calling the upset. Rams may pull off a win.
So let's talk about that for a second, because this is what I was alluding to. The Rams are playing better football, right? The Ravens are coming off a bye, so you think they should be rested. But the Rams have a lot of momentum. They just had a big win against the Browns. And I know, granted, it was different, but they did have elite Joe Flacco back at quarterback. And Joe actually looked pretty good. If it's a weather game, all bets are kind of off, guys. So, I mean, what do you say? That's a 7.5 line for the Ravens. That seems pretty substantial.
I think the weather is going to have an insane effect on the game, and I think it's going to have more of an effect on the Rams just by the way that at their best they are a more air it out offense using Puka, using Cup. That's where they want to beat you. Is Matthew Stafford? The strength of their offense is still through the air. So windy, rainy, and cold. That's not LA weather. So it's going to be a big adjustment coming here and playing in that. I think, like Brad, we just saw the stats. Rushing the football is going to be where the Ravens can really dominate this game just because of the weather. 7.5 is a lot. And I'm not sure that gets covered, but I think this game is like a 24-21 type game.
Yeah, I'm curious because definitely Stafford and the continuity that they've kind of built recently. When Stafford plays, he can sling it, right? But the Rams also can run the ball pretty effectively. You know, Kyron Williams came back from the IR and hit the ground running yet again. And on defense, the Rams then, as far as trying to stop the Ravens' run game, they do still have, you know, the best defensive player on the planet, even though he doesn't get a lot of recognition this season in Aaron Donald. Guys, Rocco, Brad, Rock, I'll start with you. Any thoughts, concerns about this game on Sunday?
I think the Ravens go out, they win, and I think they cover. I'm going to go 28-17 Baltimore in this one. I think the Rams are going to give bettors in Vegas a little bit of a scare at the end, potentially, maybe like with a chance to cut it to a 3-point game late. But I do think the Ravens, they win, they cover, they pound the rock. They're fresh off the bye. They're coming out. They're ready to roll. Lamar Jackson, he missed practice with an illness today. Everyone was freaking out. When Lamar Jackson is not at Ravens practice, everyone assumes the worst and they hope for the best. But it's an illness. I am assuming that he is going to be fine and he's going to be good to go on Sunday. Lamar's dealt with this in the past. Maybe he has a weaker immune system than most or than me and you, but I think he's going to be, you know, fired up, ready to go. They're coming off the bye week. They're back at the bank. And this team knows from here on out, the schedule gets tougher. This is the easiest game they have on the schedule. I don't think they're looking at it like this going forward, I'm saying, but this one, and then you have the 4 in front of you, toughest remaining schedule in the NFL. They got to come out, make a statement, win this one, and I think they'll cover.
And that's a part of it, that the Ravens do have an extremely tough schedule, so you don't want to look ahead. Brad, I think you got something else coming out here for our viewers.
Yeah, so I actually put a poll up in regards to the upcoming schedule. There's 5 games remaining. Ask you guys in the chat. Feel free to continue this poll, but what the Ravens' record is for the last 5 games, and somebody can pull that schedule up as I'm running through this. But I left the options open to 5-0. We're going to win out. 4-1, 3-2, or a losing record of 2-3. So far, the votes are coming in, and 3-2 seems to be the consensus up to this point. And I got to be honest, I don't know if I disagree with that. I think 3-2 would be great. I think that actually can, you know, unless something crazy happens, I think that 3-2 would still allow us to remain top seed in the AFC. And so I don't hate that. I don't hate that pick of 3-2.
Well, for the Ravens, you know, and for the schedule, if you look at it, who are they competing against right now that is right at the top of the schedule? They're going to have to face the Jaguars and Dolphins, right? Mm-hmm. A loss to an NFC team doesn't hurt as much because of the fact that the tiebreakers, it's head-to-head, and then it's going to go down to your record against AFC teams. So for those that are wondering, the Ravens playing the Jaguars and Dolphins, those are going to carry a lot more weight for head-to-head, but also they don't play the Chiefs, so that tiebreaker is going to go to matchups in the AFC. I think they're going to have to win at least 4. And this is for me, I think it's going to be a sneaky game. I think the Rams are going to come in and play. Rocco, I think the Rams could cover this. I think that they are a very underrated team. I think the Ravens are obviously the better team. I think that they are one of the best teams in the NFL. But if it's going to be a weather game, like Zach said, I feel that we've seen the games be closer maybe than they need to be. And if it's a close game with Matthew Stafford, I think that the Rams can really make Ravens fans sweat it out. But the biggest thing is guys getting healthy. Hopefully Ronnie Stanley's feeling better. It looks like Marlon Humphrey was practicing as well, and the vibes were high, right? But now it's go time.
You said Marlon, full participant in practice today. Yep. Matabike, full participant in practice today, coming off the concussion.
So there it is. Getting healthy, but now you got to go out and the last thing I'll say with that is with getting healthy, two things come out of the buys. It's either you hit the ground running and everyone's buzzing or feeling good, or there's a little bit of rust from taking some time off. One way or the other. Should be an entertaining game in Baltimore nonetheless. Any other thoughts, concerns before we move on?
No, go Vens.
Go Vens.
Go Vens.
Brad?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I am kind of excited to see how this game plays out if we do end up walking away with the win. Look, the Jaguars have lost to the Bengals with a Jake Browning quarterback. So I don't think that team is as scary as we might think they are. We'll see what happens when we go down to Jacksonville. The Dolphins have proven that they struggle against winning teams as well. So I think that there is a possibility that 4-1 is on the table. I don't think 5-0 is, but I think that given the way that the Dolphins and Jaguars have played, I think that 4-1 seems possible. The 49ers, I just don't think the Ravens are there to get past. Would be great, but I don't think that the other two teams that are up there in the AFC are as scary as some people might think.
Yeah. Hey, this year's different for a lot of different reasons. I think we've said for a while that it just feels more open and any team can kind of beat anyone, but it just feels like the Ravens of the group are a little bit more complete and they're the healthiest. They have Lamar Jackson. How about Trevor Lawrence, guys? And we're going to get into our game picks here in a second, but didn't it look like, Zach, after the Monday night game that Trevor Lawrence is going to be out for weeks, maybe the season? And
it looked like the way that they were talking about it was he was done for the very much foreseeable future, and he's practicing today. He was back at practice, had a knee brace on. Don't know how that affected his ankle, but Trevor Lawrence I don't think he's going to play this week, but I would not rule him out now for Baltimore, which I thought was a guaranteed he'd miss.
And that's the point. He's grinding through whatever he's going through, but that's going to make a big difference if Trevor Lawrence can even play. Even a banged up Trevor Lawrence is a huge upgrade for their team than not having him on the field. I think that's fair to say. So we'll find out there. And one more news around the NFL with it, as we're talking about quarterbacks that are surprisingly playing, in this case because of injury, there's another surprise in New York. Guess who's starting for the Jets, guys?
Guess who's back? Back again.
It's not that
Wilson,
guy,
baby.
Yeah, not that guy.
Zach Wilson is back playing quarterback after being benched, humiliated by the media, by the team, because they said they needed a spark.
Yeah, Rocco. I was like, why is Rocco
the Giants? I'm like, Tommy. Tommy Cutlets.
What?
That's his thing. Tommy Paisan.
Rocco himself is a Paisan. So
I was distracted, and all I heard was New York quarterback starting, and I just threw up the Tommy DeVito. Like I did it.
So Tommy DeVito is starting for the Giants again. That was confirmed. But the one we were talking about is Zach Wilson, the one that was run out of the offense. And Robert Saleh, I think, said they needed a spark. So what better spark than Tim Boyle, who they just released this past week or during this week. Guys,
I feel bad for Tim Boyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Tim Boyle didn't deserve that.
No.
What was Tim Boyle going to do? Like, keep him on the team.
They needed a spark. So it sucks. Like that's the part of it.
He said no. They asked Zach Wilson to be the starter again, and he said no. And then
hold on. Here's Zach Wilson's response to that.
No, absolutely not. I love the guys in this locker room, and I would do anything. And I think anytime you have an opportunity to step on this field, you need to take advantage of it.
Did you feel the need to address the team at all about that? Because that report kind of was widespread on Monday.
No, I don't think so. And I think more than anything, I've had support from those guys through this entire process. I think guys understand where we're at right now, and I've had backing, since day one, and that's why I love this team so much. And they understand the struggles we've been going through, and I think there can be a lot of respect shown to just keep fighting from everybody, and we're all going through the same thing.
So did he not decline the starting job? Was that fake?
Whether it was or wasn't,
he definitely did. He definitely did, and then that was a cover up.
It's called damage control, Zach. It's
called
a good PR team, and it's called damage.
Yeah, his
control.
PR team told him to do that.
Well, regardless, how about that for the Jets? You want to scapegoat the struggles of Zach Wilson that you knew when Aaron Rodgers went down. You wanted to make sure you gave him the support. I think that was the thing that got me is you wanted to give the support. You're saying how much he's matured, and then the fact that you say we need a spark and go to a quarterback that no one had heard of to start in pivotal games too. It wasn't the Jets were out of this race, and then they lose 2 more games, and it's just been
Where is
brutal.
this Tim Boyle slander coming from? I thought Homie did a fantastic job.
What's your fascination with Tim Boyle, guy?
I don't know.
Zach
I love backup quarterbacks.
You love the backup quarterback.
Backup quarterbacks.
I do too. I mean, I wanted to see Tim Boyle have success. It was more so the fact of Zach. I felt for Zach Wilson, and he brought a lot of situations on himself last year with how he handled himself, being more immature. But man, that's brutal that this year he makes so many good strides. He says things the right way, answers the right question, and then you get benched because you need a spark. And then it's like they thought that the fire was going out, so they wanted to try to get the fire going more, and then the fire actually did go out, and then they're trying to now.
Remember when he tripped backpedaling to the sideline or backpedaling to the huddle? That video a few weeks ago? That was hilarious.
Hey, well.
That was the Jets season in one video.
Yep. Well,
that was the Jets season.
I'm sorry for Jets fans. It's been rough. I think then because of this, we're babbling on. We're very good at that. Hey, I think it's game picks time, Brad.
Yeah, it is. And I just wanted to kind of go over our records so far.
Oh, no.
Zach isn't going to like this.
I forget we keep track of this.
We picked 156 games through week 13. I have guessed 98 out of 156, which is good for 63%. Ryan is in the lead, 105 out of 156 games, 67%. Zach is 59 games guessed correctly out of 102.
Oh, okay, I'm over 50%. That was
guess who's undefeated, fellas?
58%.
Undefeated, baby.
Zach's at 58.
That's all the losses that Rocco has.
58%. Yeah.
Rocco, thanks for joining us again in studio.
I'm undefeated. I haven't picked. I haven't lost. 0-0, baby.
Yeah. So Rocco's going to be our time clock guy. This is game clock picks. We're going to make these picks within 40 seconds or less. And so we have tonight's games already started, so we won't guess that. But the point spread for the Steelers Patriots game was -6. To the Steelers. I think Steelers will take that game. I don't know where it's at right now.
7-3 Patriots. There was 10 points in the first quarter.
Not done yet.
Kind of crazy. All right, so let's start off with Lions Bears. Great division game. Lions are favored by 3 points. I'm kind of surprised that's all they're favored by. Money line here is -172. Bears +143. Over unders at 40 points. I'm going to take the under on that. I'm taking the Lions. I don't think it should be particularly close, but last time they played each other, it was.
I got the Lions.
I think that was the best shot for the Bears was there. I think the Lions are going to play a better game, but I do think it's an entertaining game, and I hope that the over is well over 40.
Yeah. Next one is going to be Saints versus Panthers. Point spread here is -5.5 to the Saints. I think the Saints should win this one pretty easily. But I hope that Chuba Hubbard runs for 175 yards.
Saints.
Yeah. Saints and the points.
Yep. Over under on that is 37.5. I'll probably take the under on that too.
Oh, have to. With that offense?
Yeah.
Panthers.
Yeah. Falcons, Bucks, point spread here. Falcons are favored by 2.5. I'm going to take the Buccaneers on this. I don't know who the Falcons are, and I think the Bucs just have the better team. Mike Evans has another 100-yard game, and I'm taking the Bucs.
Gotta go Bucs. Yeah.
Falcons won the first game on a walk-off field goal. I think that divisional opponents give me the Bucs. They need to. If not, they're not winning the NFC South. Give me the Bucs.
Over-under is 40.5 points. I'm also taking the under on that. Bengals versus Colts. Bengals are favored by 1.5. Jake Browning is the truth and has proven that Joe Burrow just plays in a system. He's actually not that good. And so I'm taking the Bengals on this one.
Give me the Bengals. Jake Shiesty, baby.
Give me the Colts.
My God.
Give me Minshew mania back again. I think the Colts defense actually is playing. They are causing turnovers or special teams. They're getting points. Fantasy wise, they have 71 points over the last 4 games. Give me the Colts to win this game, and the feel good of Browning ends.
Browning fed Jamar Chase the shit out of the football.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Expect more of the same there. New York Jets versus the Texans. Texans are favored by only 3.5. That's kind of crazy to me. I think the Texans are going to beat the shit out of the Jets, and it's going to be way more than that. Over-unders at 33.5 points. I'm taking the over on that as well.
I'm going to take the Jets. I think the Jets beat them. After all we just said about Zach Wilson, that defense is going to stop CJ Stroud. The Jets are going to find a way.
Yeah, and no Tank Dell for the Texans. It's a tough task, tall task, but I'm taking CJ Stroud and the Texans. I think that CJ is too dialed in and is going to make the bigger plays when needed to win. Give me Houston.
Yeah. Next up is San Fran and the Seahawks. Point spread here is that the Niners are favored by 10.5 points. That is really tough. Over-unders at 46.5. I'm going to take the under on that. I do think the 49ers win, but I think it's going to be closer than 10.5 points.
Yeah. I think exactly. I think that 49ers win, but I don't think they win by over 10.5. I think it's going to be a closer game than that.
Division game.
Yeah.
BCB Niners roll. And I do think, especially with the Seahawks backfield, maybe one of their guys, Walker or Charbonnet, plays, but they can't have any type of run game and they have to pass all game. Good luck. Niners win this one.
Raiders, Vikings. Point spread here is going to the Vikings -3. Over-unders 40.5 points. I don't know where Vegas is getting all these points from. I'm going to take the under on that, and I'm also going to go with the Vikings here against the Raiders.
I gotta go Vikings. I just can't trust the Raiders right now.
Yeah.
The Vikings, Josh Dobbs gets back on track.
Taking the Vikes as well. I think that the Vikings they need to win this game. That was a really tough home loss. I think they bounce back and win.
Chargers versus Broncos. Chargers are favored by 2.5 points. I'm taking the Broncos. They're just too good right now. And the Chargers are just an absolute mess. So I'm going with Broncos here. Over-unders 43.5 points. I'm going to take the under on that as well.
Yeah, give me the Broncos. I would have taken Broncos up until like 3-4.5. I think how can you look at the Chargers and trust that team right now?
It's crazy that they're favored.
Yeah, I was floored when you just said that. I was expecting you to say Broncos by like 3.
Yeah, Denver, they have more belief. They had a tough loss to the Texans, which is also a playoff team. The Chargers barely escaped a victory against the Patriots that can't score. Give me Denver.
Next up, we got Chiefs and Buffalo Bills. This is going to be a great game, I think. If the Bills that played the Eagles a couple weeks ago show up, I think that the Bills should take this one, even though the Chiefs are favored by 1.5. I'm going Bills. The Chiefs can't be trusted right now. They just can't. Just haven't been able to trust the way they've been playing. I know that a lot of people are still high on them, and rightfully so, defending Super Bowl champs, blah, 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 blah. But the way that they have played this entire season does not make me feel good. I'm going with the Bills on this, and 40.5 points as over under. I'm going to take the over on that.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't lose 2 straight games. I think it's as simple as that. I think it's going to be close. I wanted to take the Bills, but Patrick Mahomes isn't losing 2 straight games.
Yeah, but when you think of it, both teams had some pretty the gut-wrenching loss was more for Buffalo than it was Kansas City. Buffalo needs to win this game more than Kansas City again, but I'm with you. I don't think Kansas City loses 2 in a row the way that they do. But they haven't won a game when they've allowed more than 19 points, I think, all season. I'm pretty sure on that. You might have to – if I'm wrong on that, I'm wrong on that. But I think I saw that they got to play well defensively, and I do think Kansas City wins this game.
All right, next up is Cowboys versus Eagles. Another great game. Last time they met each other earlier in the season, the Eagles took this one with a last-minute play from Jalen Hurts. Point spread here is Cowboys are favored in Dallas by 3.5, and I think that's the only reason that they are favored by 3.5 is because it is in Dallas. I believe, what's the win streak at home right now? Is it at 14, 15, something like that?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Cowboys, but won't be surprised if the Eagles take a win on this one. Over-under is 51.5.
Give me the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, MVP. Ain't that right, Brad?
Yeah, okay. And well, this will be the test, right? Dak Prescott has to prove himself. This is going to be the game. The Cowboys are 1 and 2 against teams with a record of 500 or better. And they've had a very soft schedule. So what's it going to look like when he goes up against the Eagles yet again? Is it going to show up or show out?
I think that the Eagles were so embarrassed. I think they pull it off in Dallas, and I think that we're going to have questions about Dallas. Dallas is great, but I think that Philly. There's doubts now about Philly. I think Philly goes to Dallas and pulls the upset.
There you go. Dolphins, Tennessee. Dolphins are favored by 13.5.
Well, that's on a Monday. We have 2 Monday night games this week.
Yeah.
Oh,
both at the same time. Can we?
Let's just predict these because they're going to be going all over live, and we're really bad at predicting these. So Dolphins should be easy. I'm going to take the Dolphins on this one, 13.5, and Titans cover.
Yeah, Dolphins win this.
Fins up.
Fins up.
The second Monday night game is Giants Green Bay.
No, it's not. That's not a thing. That's not a Dolphin. I know with JU, I figured this out recently with Jacksonville University with the Dolphins. It's fins up, like fins up JU, like JU.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Second Monday night game is Giants and Green Bay. Green Bay is favored by 6.5. Think
go Packers. Go Packers.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Wow. Okay.
I just wanted to unmute myself to.
Okay, well,
Rocco, you're still here.
Are we allowed to do this?
Rocco, thanks for coming.
Shut the hell up.
Oh, you're muted again.
Oh, damn.
I did that to myself.
Well, for good reason. Good reason.
How we do on that, Rocco?
He didn't record.
He didn't listen.
He didn't. There's no chance he
actually really well. There were a few times where you guys got to like 47 seconds, but like
you just made that number up.
No, I'm dead serious. I looked down and it was 47, and then I would reset it. But for the most part, pretty good.
Maybe it was manual error.
Pretty good.
We're gonna get a buzzer.
There's a lot of things we need to get, and we're gonna continue to build it out like we talked about. It's been fun, honestly. If we're being honest here, and that's what we are. Honestly, if we're being honest, this has been a really fun experience from where it's been to where we got to and where we project this to go. And we have so much that's more in store here, and actually we'll have more space so we don't have this empty void where we have people that usually would sit there.
If only they cared enough.
Yeah,
I'll be back Monday. I'll be there.
God. He's making everything about himself right now.
Well, you just showed my
that's
seat.
Ryan's old seat. That's Ryan's old seat.
Well, right now I'm heading the ship as we're trying to move the cameras around, but a lot more to dive into. We're excited. I know a lot of people, the Orioles talk, and John, I just saw this. Thanks for joining. I mean, yes, Orioles, Ravens, great time for Be More fans.
Fantastic.
But if you just are coming into the show, John, telling people with all the stuff, if the Orioles are being sold or not, we're gonna pump the brakes. But it's an exciting time because
go crazy. Go crazy. Lose your mind. run the streets.
Okay.
Okay, back to you.
That's not what we're no. No. But the Orioles and the Ravens, Baltimore has two teams that the community, the fans should be absolutely floored about. And hopefully that continues on Sunday for the Ravens. And then hopefully we hear some more exciting news for Orioles fans as the winter continues on and the stove continues to heat up. So I think.
Okay.
Anything?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, where's that coming from? Okay. What?
Ashley Schaefer, Schaefer Automotives.
I thought that was some Ric Flair shit or something. I don't know.
Never seen me pounding down?
Woo.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
Two claps and a Ric Flair.
Woo.
Yeah,
Rip.
good. Okay.
Rip.
What?
Rip. Can I shout out the PLL for dropping this merch? PLL
Got him out.
Dropped me Maryland Whip Snakes Lacrosse. They're the new lacrosse. Well, they're a rebranded lacrosse team now coming to Maryland. They're going to be playing their games in this state, part of the PLL. So the PLL was kind enough to give me some Whip Snakes merchandise I'll be wearing. You guys got to check them out. Dope lacrosse team to follow. If you love professional sports here in Maryland, love the Ravens, love the Orioles, check out the Whip Snakes as well. I mean, the merch is honestly fantastic. Got me the shirt, the hoodie, a couple hats. I'll be wearing them on the show. And maybe I'll be kind enough to let Zach wear one as well to cover that hideous hairline of his because, we're in the same boat.
Whoa. This is what you have to be a certain height to talk shit. It must be this tall to ride.
Oh, my God. Here we go.
But it is exciting. Hey, great marketing with the PLL.
Got it, man. You got to have them on and talk.
Yeah.
We'll get it going. We got a lot more. We have some more things coming up for next week. We can't tell you that yet, so stay tuned.
Should be fun.
Should have a fun time, though. But we're going to wrap it up. Joe, time to take 90. If we get to 3,000 subs, I'm not ready to take 90 miles an hour again off the ribs. I've taken or off the hand.
You take one off the hand?
Oh,
what
dude.
What if one of us throws the pitch, Rip? Would you do that?
I've already said I'll take 85.
No, like I'm saying, if we hit him with the baseball, I think he'll be more inclined to take the pitch. If like I'm throwing, I haven't asked to eat this pitch. Zach, I'm sure
you might not even hit me though, Rock. So yeah.
I think maybe like 65 I could hit, warm the arm up.
That
Can I throw hop or does it have to be off a mound?
How about this? How about we turn it around? How about I get to hit you guys each get one shot at me. And if you miss, I get a shot at each one of you.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
I don't like that. I wouldn't.
No. Ryan's by far the hardest thrower out of the four of us.
Oh, well, yeah, but he still has to hit us.
Yeah, but he would.
Yeah, I'm not taking that.
I had arm issues as things go on, but I guarantee you, give me that shot. You want to do it?
Let's do it.
I don't want to.
One day we're gonna have to step in the batter's box. I want to see if I can strike you out.
Okay, so
we do got to play at Delmarva though.
We play at Delmarva. That's a good chance then.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Well, let's hope. Here's to get to 3,000. We're on our way. And for those that just joined the show for the first time, we thank you so much for being a part of it.
I don't do this usually, but.
All right, let's get out of
the Dolphins.
Yeah, let's get the hell out of here. All right. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for stopping in and hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. If you are a returning guest to the show, not even guest, just a returning a part of this community with us, we appreciate you. We thank you. We always try to have a good time here, and you guys make this experience. So we will be back on Monday, hopefully with some good news, hopefully with the Ravens victory. But you guys enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. Enjoy your weekend. And that'll do it for this episode of the Ryan Ripken Show. We'll see you on Monday.
See ya.
You know what was running?